All right. I'd like to welcome everyone to the September 11th, 2023 meeting of the Delaware County Board of Commissioners. Would you please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I'd like to just pause while we're at it. We've got a busy morning, but it is September 11th, as everybody knows, and I'm sure everyone remembers where they were 22 years ago at this hour. It was just right about now when the four planes went down and caused about 3,000 Americans to lose their lives, and so it's great that we pause and honor and respect those who made so many sacrifices. The safety personnel, the people in the planes, the Pentagon. I mean, it's just a tremendous tragedy for the country, but we'll never forget. So anyway, I just want to take a moment and pause and again, honor and respect those who made a very, very big sacrifice for the country. I'll do introductions. I'm Jeff Benton, President of the Board this year. To my left is Vice President and fellow Commissioner Gary Merrill. To my right is fellow Commissioner Barb Lewis, our Administrator Tracy Davies, our Deputy Administrators, Dawn Houston, Eric Hostetler, our clerks. Are you considered a clerk today, Allie? Not sure. Our real clerk is Jennifer Walraven, and our pinch hit clerk is Allie Gorsuch. So, and obviously Sarah DeNova is not in the seat. She was in the seat for about 10 years, and we really miss Sarah, but welcome, Allie, and thank you for pinch hitting and helping us out. So, Jennifer, we can begin.
Resolution number 23-757, in the matter of approving the electronic record of proceedings from regular meeting held August 31st, 2023.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion, vote.
Vote on motion 23-757. Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
We have public comment. We're going to address that later with the item that it references. Resolution number 23-758, in the matter of approving purchase orders and announced certificates and payments of warrants in batch number CM APR 0908.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion, vote.
Vote on motion 23-758. Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Resolution number 23-759, in the matter of approving travel expense requests.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion, vote.
Vote on motion 23-759. Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Resolution number 23-760, in the matter of acknowledging receipt of annexation petition from agents for the petitioner Aaron Underhill Esquire, David Hodge Esquire, and Eric Satterman Esquire, requesting annexation of 230.7 acres of land in Brown Township and Delaware Township to the city of Delaware.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
We do have a public comment for this item.
Yes.
Trustee Skinner would like to speak.
Good morning.
The podium is yours, and you can.
Connie Skinner, Brown Township trustee, and I know we may or may not be at the point for discussing this. I just would like to make a request for complete transparency, open communication between all parties involved with this annexation and with the development that we have just recently learned that is stated for that 230 acres. You guys obviously all have my contact info. I'd be happy to pass out my contact info today. It's very easy to find. If the development moves forward for the annexation, will those students from the roughly 1,000 rooftops go to Buckeye Valley or Delaware City schools? I mean, we may or may not be at that point to know that. I just know that both school districts could be losing out on tax revenue while the schools are housing the expenses of those students. And just make sure to also include the school districts in the planning discussion of the development and annexation. Also, my farming background, this is a huge watershed area. I just would like to encourage the developer to work with the Soil and Water Conservation District and the farmers in the area, the surrounding area on the drainage. That entire 230 acres is systematically tiled with a couple of main tiles draining not only the 230 acres, but surrounding acreage. You know, there will be issues when the tile is cut for construction. Would hate for any extra costs to infer to the neighboring landowners and farmers. It's not their fault, it's not their issue, it's the construction's issue. And lastly, I understand there's a community meeting on this development, which is September 26th from 6 to 8 p.m. And that is in the Seattle House Clubhouse. So any residents that are currently here or next to the area, please plan on attending that meeting. And that is all that I had, unless you have questions for me or.
Yeah, Commissioner Merrill or
I don't
Lewis?
have any questions. I am curious about the school issue.
Yeah.
Eric, are you in a position to, okay, just,
I do have a question for Eric, though, on what is our obligation to okay this, or is this just a pass-through?
So this is a type 2 annexation, so there's a statutory process. Notice is given to the township and the municipality from the agent for the petitioners. The agent provides those notice, not the county. And the commissioner's role is to review that annexation and any objections that could be filed. Township can object, municipality can object. And if an objection is received within the statutory timeframe, then you consider those objections at review of the petition. If no objections are received, you have to grant the annexation. So you don't have discretion if no objections are
what is
received.
that time frame?
Off the top of my head, I don't remember. I think Jennifer brought it with her, and she can review that timeline.
Just so we're all on the same page.
Yeah,
25 days from the filing date is September 25th, so that would be when we would need to have an objection from the township or the municipality. And then the first session that the board has after that would be the 28th of September, so that would be, if there is no objection, the board would grant the annexation that day, or if we do receive an objection somewhere between September 30th and October 15th, the board would set a date to review the criteria of the annexation.
So the deadline's October 15th.
not to file an objection is September 28th, right?
25th.
25th,
25th.
25th.
September
25th.
25th.
September
Yeah.
25th is
Okay.
objection.
And an objection has to be on one of these statutory criteria. It can't be on, I mean, I don't have an answer for the school issue. I don't have an answer for the tiling issue or any of the other issues that Trustee Skinner brought up, but none of those are statutory objection bases. So any objection filed by the township would have to be one of those statutory criteria.
Okay, now, the township files the objection or the residents file the objection?
The statute allows the township or the municipality to file an objection, and that is all.
Okay. So,
Yes, so how do they do that
Yeah.
then, if they wish to?
They should consult their legal counsel on how to do that.
Okay. So far, no objections have been filed.
That's right.
Correct.
but, and again, today's action is just acknowledging that we received the
Yeah, this is the
petition.
first step in the
Okay.
process, is we acknowledge that the petition has been received, and then
Okay.
the
Clock
timeline
ticks.
starts based on the filing date, not today's date.
Right.
And the filing date was the 31st
Correct.
of August.
Okay.
It appears as though you mentioned, Trustee Skinner, that there is a meeting, a public meeting on the 26th.
Yes.
Sounds as though that should be moved up before the deadline, though. Thank you, Eric.
That meeting, from what I understand, is put on by the developers, the development.
Okay, so just so you know your
Yes.
timeline
Right.
for the
Yes,
objection.
and we
Okay.
just found out about the meeting. And
Okay,
I will definitely be attending.
So
You're
that
right,
was-
it is a little late.
That was probably said deliberate, I don't mean this negatively, that was probably said intentionally after the 25th.
Correct,
So, okay.
yes.
Do you foresee the township having an objection, or you don't know at this point?
We have not had a public meeting on it, so I cannot, and I am in no way, shape, or form, I am here for my own personal comments. I am not speaking on behalf of the township today. So we have not had a public meeting. I do not know the feel of the other trustees. So
okay.
as long as, everything is done correct, I don't know that there is anything we can do. Just wanted to express my concerns. And I know it's a little early in the game, but I appreciate the opportunity to be here and talk, so.
Sounds as though you need to discuss this with your attorney.
Yes,
I mean, the township does,
yes,
Yeah,
yes.
and quickly.
quickly. All right,
Right.
yeah.
Thank
So,
you.
okay,
Thank you, Connie.
thank you,
Thank
Connie. All right, have we voted?
We need to vote still.
Okay.
Vote on motion 23-760. Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Item number 6, our County Administrator Davies has an introduction and a welcome.
Yes, Commissioners, it's my pleasure to introduce our new Director of Delaware County Emergency Communications, Lauren Yancanon. Wanted her to come to session today to formally be introduced. She's been on the job for a little over a week now.
Yep.
Welcome.
Good morning.
Welcome.
Thank you. As you know, my name is Lauren Yancanon, Director of 911, and I'm very excited to be here with you today. I have been a county resident for 17 years and a City of Delaware resident for about 9 years now. So I'm coming to Delaware County as the Director of 911 with 18 and a half years of experience in emergency communications. And I'm just really looking forward to what we're going to do here as our teams.
Why don't you elaborate on your experience coming, just for the benefit of those who may be listening?
Yeah, there are
Sure.
million,
Sure. I went to Ohio State University, and shortly after graduation, I jumped into the field of emergency communications as a dispatcher at the City of Dublin. And while I was there, I kind of moved through the ranks. I was a trainer, and then I became a supervisor, and then I was a communications manager for the last 3 years there. So gained some experience in the field through my work history, and I also have a Master's of Public Administration from Kent State University.
yeah. Okay, great,
How's it been going?
yeah.
It's been wonderful. I've been working through meeting everybody, coming in on the different shifts and getting to know the team, and we have a staff meeting later today, so it's great.
All right.
That's
Well,
great.
Lauren, welcome aboard. Great to have you
Yes.
started and
Thank you.
getting engaged, and look forward to many years of working with you.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Just want to add that being on the administrative board for 911, we had the opportunity to interview really twice, also during the commissioner interviews as well. And your enthusiasm, your excitement, I think what you bring to the county, we're all very excited about that. And I get the impression you are as well.
Yes.
And we got a lot to do, but it's a great county, and we just want to continue the great service we've been providing.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to serving our communities and residents and our responders for many years to come. So thank you very much for this opportunity.
Okay,
Oh,
Appreciate
we're
it.
very happy to have you.
Thank you.
great. Thanks, Lauren.
Thank you.
All right,
Item number
Jennifer?
7, resolution number 23-761, in the matter of approving grant awards for the Delaware County Trail Assistance Program.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
Good morning, Scott Sanders with the Delaware County Regional Planning Commission, and today I'm representing the Trail Committee. You have before you the recommendations for this year. This is the 5th year of the program. The Trail Committee met on July 21st and looked through these 2 applications. They both met all the criteria, and so we're recommending for Liberty Township $14,671.25, and then for Orange Township $40,000. These will create complete gaps in 2 different trail projects in those 2 townships.
What do you think the prospects are, Scott?
What's that?
What do you think the prospects are for receiving these grants?
You mean for actual completion of the projects? I mean,
Yeah, I thought these were applications for grants.
yes.
I mean, what do you think
So-
our prospects are of receiving the approval of the grants?
I hope they're good.
Okay, well, yeah. Based on past history, we've received most of our grant applications.
Sure, these are grants that the commissioners are providing for these communities.
Oh, I thought it was
Yeah.
And then
they-
funding that we were applying from the state side.
And so then they match.
Ah, okay.
They
I
match with their
apologize.
own money. This is a match for that.
Okay, I thought these were,
So I hope they're very good.
Yeah, I just, yeah.
all right, well,
better be.
we'll see. If the commissioners, if this commissioner could understand it better, I think the chances
And
are good.
I'm going to leave behind a single sheet that kind of profiles some of the past projects that have been completed, and then some that have been granted but not quite finished yet. This is a 2-year project, or 2-year program, so that once it's granted, well, before these are granted or even asked for, the projects have to be in place, ready to go, engineered, easements in place, and then they have 2 years to complete that project.
Okay. Very good. I know trails are really important in the county, and we've seen a lot of progress on them, so good to see some more. Other comments?
No, just thank you.
Yeah.
We're
Jennifer?
glad to help.
Vote on motion 23-761. Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Resolution number
Thank you. Thanks, Scott.
23-762, in the matter of approving a transfer of appropriations for the sheriff's office.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
Dean Stelzer, Delaware County Sheriff's Office. This transfer came about earlier in the year. We had a supplemental appropriation to our law enforcement fund to retrofit an unmarked cruiser that was going to be used for our CSEA deputy, but it didn't work right, so we converted it to a regular cruiser. The invoice and the work that was done came in $200 higher than what the original estimate was, and since it's funded out of an equipment line item, we didn't have an appropriation beyond what the supplemental was. So this is a transfer of funds to enable us to pay that invoice.
Okay. Vote, please.
Vote on motion 23-762. Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Resolution number 23-763, and the resolution of necessity for the purchase or lease of motor vehicles for the use of county sheriff or his employees.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
Today's talk is about cruisers in the sheriff's office. We had found out earlier this year that Ford, from which we buy all of our cruisers from, is changing their model next year, and that there was going to be limited access to purchasing vehicles. And typically we buy 8, 9, 10, 11 cruisers each year just to replace in our fleet. And our Captain Vance in our office worked with our representative from Ford at the dealership and to determine that there may be vehicles available this year yet that we could get access to. The vehicles are on a state bid contract, so there was no problem with doing that. Worked with Justin and Tracy in the Commissioner's office to see if we could shift what otherwise would be purchased in the 2024 budget up into this year. And to do that necessitates a number of budgetary changes, which is what this resolution represents. So ultimately, hopefully, we can get a purchase order issued once this is approved and get in line to get those 11 vehicles. It's not quite guaranteed, but we're pretty optimistic that we can get them. More than likely, it'll take delivery till later in the year into next year. And then our next year's budget, we haven't requested any new vehicles.
To summarize, they'll be coming out of next year's budget.
Right, just shifting it into this year.
When would you get delivery, do you think?
Good morning, Scott Vance, Captain. We anticipate probably January, February, but knowing how it is, typically it could be later. I can't really guarantee a date on that. They move them on us. It's not just a Ford thing. It's kind of rippling across. I started tracking it back in April through the Ford dealers. They've shortened the order windows to about a week. That week of ordering actually is outside the state term collaborative purchasing agreement expiration date. So we were being told everywhere from one, if you order 5, you're lucky if you get 1 kind of thing. So trying to be quality planning for next year. We got a hold of some people. We've been working the back rooms on that, trying to get it. We anticipate a lot of movement across both Dodge and Chevrolet. It's just what's out there and what's available, along with the equipment shortages out there.
Okay. All right. Other questions, comments? Vote, please.
Vote on motion 23-763. Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Resolution number 23-764, in the matter of approving supplemental appropriations, a revenue estimate revision, and a transfer of cash.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
This is just the budget changes to accomplish the purchase of the vehicles this year.
Okay. Vote, Jennifer?
Vote on motion 23-764. Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Resolution number 23-765, in the matter of receiving and filing the annual report of the Sheriff's Office for fines and costs collected by the Sheriff's Office for the tax year next preceding September 1st, 2023.
So moved.
Second?
Discussion.
The Ohio Revised Code requires the sheriff to report to the county commissioners annually the amount of fines and fees collected through our processes, and this report represents that filing for the year up through, I think, August 31st.
Okay. Comments? Vote, please.
Vote on motion 23-765. Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Resolution number 23-766, in the matter of approving a transfer of appropriations for juvenile court.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
Good morning, Karen Watkins, Juvenile Probate Court. This is for our VOCA grant. We originally had budgeted $1,618 in the supply line for printing of manuals, but we've identified a vendor that can do it instead. So this is the transfer from the supply line to the service line.
All right. Vote, Jennifer.
Vote on motion 23-766. Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Resolution number 23-767, in the matter of approving change order OCO 14 to the construction manager at risk contract between the Delaware County Board of Commissioners and Gilbane Building Company for the Bixby Campus DACC redevelopment project.
So moved.
Second?
Discussion.
Good morning, John Melvin, Director of Facilities. This change order includes a long list of items we've kind of been going back and forth with the construction manager, vetted through these pretty heavily. This is a lot of catch-up, so we're getting down towards the end of this project, wrapping things up. Recommend approval.
Good. Comments?
Everybody's on that same question.
Timelines.
When we move it in?
Yeah.
Well, I already moved soil and water in, so they
Oh,
had to
yeah.
be-
How'd that go? Okay.
They had to be out of their
Yeah, I
current
remember.
leased location by the end of August, so we got temporary occupancy on the 28th and for their area and moved them in on the 29th of August there. So currently they're installing furniture right now and wrapping up in area A, which was the classrooms. B is moving into that. Hope to be done with the furniture installation in those areas by the end of this month. So working with the engineer's office, looking at, and sanitary engineer's office, looking at the first 2 weeks of October, moving into that building. That same time frame, they'll be wrapping up furniture in the rest of the building, and they'll be wrapping up the sheriff's new administration building. So they'll be able to move over and start installing furniture over there in the sheriff's administration building about mid-October. Probably got about 4 weeks of furniture installed in that building, so probably looking at mid-November. Hopefully can push that up a little bit for the move into the sheriff's building.
Okay. Big project.
It has been.
A lot of people moving around. Vote, please, Jennifer.
Vote on motion 23-767. Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Thank you, Jen.
Next, Jen.
Resolution number 23-768, in the matter of approving the sanitary sewer subdividers agreement for Eagle Creek Section 1, Phase A.
So
1A,
moved.
sorry.
Second.
Discussion.
Morning, Commissioners. Tiffany Mag, Director of Environmental Services. So this is a subdividers agreement for a subdivision that's near 3 Bs and a K and Sherman Road. We're providing tap credits because of the oversizing. The sewer is going to be an 18-inch versus the 12-inch that they needed for on-site only. So they upsized 2,000 feet of the sewer from the 12-inch to the 18-inch, resulting in a tap credit of $346,980.
All right, other questions, comments? Vote, please.
Vote on motion 23-768. Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Gonna have our
Do you have a
monthly
password,
update.
This went black on me over here.
Apparently we waited too long.
Well, I'm pressing all the buttons, but it's not. Gosh, something not.
Third time's a charm. Great, thank you. So we had several plan approvals as well as sewer acceptances in the month of, what were we in here? This was August through the beginning of September, since we had a couple sessions that were canceled earlier this month. So the first one is Graphics Way. This is a new plan approval. This is on the new Home Road extension. And this is for the south, it's just south of Home Road, east of 23. There's no planned development there yet. It's prepping for future development in that area. Also, I'll go to the Aldea. This is also in that same area. This is just north of Home Road on the new extension. This will actually be completed when the Pulte development comes through. They will extend sewer up to this Onyx and East development. 181 units are planned in this area, just south of Lewis Center Road. And then on plan approvals, we also had Berlin Farms West. This is MI Homes. This is 55 units in Section 2. And this is north of Berlin Station Road. And then as far as the sewer acceptances, we had Pyatt Preserve. This one has 24 lots near Cheshire Road and Gregory Road. And this is a D.R. Horton development. And then Berlin Farms, Section 1. This is just east of the Berlin Farms West development. They have both sides of Pyatt Road with MI development up there. This is 49 lots on Section 1. And then Liberty Grand, District 8, Section Phase A and B. MI is also developing Liberty Grand District. This is 55 units in Section 8. And then Sarah Crossing is also in Liberty Grand, 231 multifamily condo units by Wilcox. So this is a fairly large condo multifamily development in the area there. And then finally, we have Green Meadows Drive. This is also in the Home Road area on that extension east of 23. This is an 8-inch run of sewer that will serve a tennis complex in that area. So with that, I'll take any questions.
You're always busy.
Yeah, we've got a lot going on.
Good
Things are seeming to ramp back up. I think that's, what we're kind of seeing. Things were a little bit slower as far as the new taps and connections throughout 2023, but it's seeming like, things are picking back up, so that's good.
Wow.
Great.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tiffany.
Thank you, Tiffany.
Okay, Jennifer.
Item number 16, resolution number 23-769, in the matter of establishing a maintenance bond and releasing construction bond for Howard Farm Section 2 and Clarkshaw Moore Section 6 Phase B.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
Yes, good morning, Commissioners. Lee Bodnar with the Engineers Office. Howard Farms Section 2 is 26 lots located on the south side of Cheshire Road, east of Pyatt Road in Berlin Township. And Clarkshaw Moores is Section 6, Phase B, is 18 lots on the south side of Clarkshaw Road, just east of Section Line Road in Concord Township. All these roadways, the roadway construction has been completed, it's been reviewed and inspected, and we would recommend the returning of the construction bond and accepting the maintenance bond in relation to these development roads.
Okay. Vote, please.
Vote on motion 23-769. Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Resolution number 23-770, in the matter of accepting the roads, approving recommended speed limits, establishing stop conditions, and releasing securities for the North Lake Preserve Section 5, North Lake Preserve Section 6, the courtyards at Clear Creek Section 2 Phase A, the courtyards at Clear Creek Section 2 Phase B, and the courtyards at Clear Creek Section 3.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
Yes, Commissioners, North Lake Preserve, Section 5 and 6, total 67 lots located off of Four Winds Drive, just east of North 3Bs and K Road in Berkshire Township. And the courtyards at Clear Creek, Sections 2, Phase A and Phase B, and Section 3, total 89 lots located off of Gooding Boulevard in Orange Township. This resolution accepts those roadways located within those developments, sets the speed limits on those roadways and the appropriate stop conditions for those roadways. This also places them upon our county roadway system, and we would recommend your approval.
All right. Questions, comments? Vote, please.
Vote on motion 23-770. Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Resolution number 23-771, in the matter of approving an owner's agreement for ravines at Hoover and the district at Berkshire Road, extension Section 1.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
Yes, Commissioners, for your consideration, the ravines at Hoover is 56 lots located at the corner of Tussock Street Road and Oxbow Road in Genoa Township, and the district at Berkshire Road Extension, Section 1, is 1 lot to allow for roadway construction located off of South Wilson Road in Berkshire Township.
Okay. All right. Vote, please.
Vote on motion 23-771. Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Resolution number 23-772, in the matter of approving right-of-way work permit summary sheet.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
Yes, Commissioners, 8 standard utility right-of-way permits, and we would recommend your approval.
All right, vote, please.
Vote on motion 23-772. Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Resolution number 23-773, in the matter of approving drainage maintenance petition and ditch maintenance assessment for Slate Ridge Residential.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
Yes, Commissioners, for your consideration, Slate Ridge Residential is 105.76 acres located off of Home Road Extension in Orange Township. The property owner has requested to be placed upon the county's drainage and ditch maintenance program. We would recommend your approval.
All right, vote, please.
Vote on motion 23-773. Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Resolution number 23-774, in the matter of approving drainage maintenance petition and ditch maintenance assessment for the districts at Berkshire.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
Yes, Commissioners, again, for your consideration, the district at Berkshire is 21.93 acres located off of South Wilson Road in Berkshire Township. Again, the property owner has requested to be placed upon the county's drainage and ditch maintenance program, and we would recommend your approval.
All right, vote, please.
Vote on motion 23-774. Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Resolution number 23-775, in the matter of adopting a resolution declaring a necessity and the intent of the Delaware County Board of Commissioners to appropriate property.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
For your consideration, Commissioners, this is to acquire property that is adjacent to Cheshire Road in Berlin Township, and it will be used for the future widening of Cheshire Road between Pyatt Road and Old State Road. That construction is slotted for 2024.
Okay, vote, please.
Vote on motion 23-775. Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Before I read item number 22, I would like to point out that under the item description, we are discussing a 2002 item, not a 2022 item.
Oh, okay. That was one of the questions I had was,
Resolution number 23-776, in the matter of declaring county Persity property obsolete, unfit, or not needed for public use.
So moved.
Second.
discussion.
Yes, Commissioners, if it was 2022, you would fillet me and roast me in front of everybody. And this error was facilitated by our office, not the actions of your fine clerk. This is for the disposal of a 2002 International 7300 dump truck. It has lived its good life, and we will be placing it on GovDeals for sale.
Okay. Yeah, I caught that 2022. I was wondering why we'd be disposing of something that new.
I saw that as well, so I called our maintenance director, and he couldn't understand what my issue was until I mentioned, well, this is 2022. What are you talking about? We're pulling it out of commission. And, so we got to the bottom of it. But again, I can't say enough, this was not the action of your fine clerks. This was our error.
Good. Vote, Jennifer.
Vote on motion 23-776. Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thanks, Lee.
Resolution number 23-777. In the matter of declaring public purpose and authorizing the use of Delaware County funds for the purchase of coffee, meals, and refreshments and other amenities, and approving a transfer of appropriations.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
Good morning, Commissioners. Dawn Houston, Deputy Administrator, and I'm recommending your approval of this resolution. This would transfer funds from the Wellness Grant Program and Materials and Supplies, or General Supplies, to the Wellness Program for food and refreshments for this program generally. So I recommend your approval.
Okay. Vote, please.
Vote on motion 23-777. Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Resolution number 23-778, in the matter of adopting updates to the Delaware County Personal Policy Manual.
So So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
And this policy would be an update to the ADA policy within our best practices policy manual. This has been reviewed by our general counsel, and I recommend your approval.
Okay, comments, questions? Vote, please.
Vote on motion 23-778. Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thanks, Don.
Resolution number 23-779, in the matter of approving the final schedule of construction assessments for the Gorsuch Joint County Number 588 Watershed Drainage Improvement Project.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
Morning, Commissioners. Justin Navi, Director of Finance. Again, this is a request just to apply the special assessment schedule over 8 years for the Gorsuch Ditch Project.
Okay, vote, please.
Vote on motion 23-779. Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Resolution number 23-780, in the matter of approving the final schedule of construction assessments for the Kingston number 2017-1 Drainage Improvement Project.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
Thanks, Commissioners. This is just the second request for the Kingston 1 Ditch Project for the special assessments.
Okay, vote, please.
Vote on motion 23-780. Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Resolution number 23-781, in the matter of approving the final schedule of construction assessments for the Kingston number 2017-2 Drainage Improvement Project.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
Thanks, Commissioners. And this is just the third special assessment schedule for Kingston 2 Ditch Project.
Okay, vote, please.
Vote on motion 23-781. Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Resolution number 23-782, in the matter of authorizing the submitting of an application for an ARPA Lead Safety Ohio program for the Commissioner's Office.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
Thanks, Commissioners. This is a request just to authorize County Administration to apply for this Lead Safe Ohio grant, and the grant award amount is in $511,000.
What, can you give us a description of the grant, maybe? I don't know if you know the background or...
Sure, Commissioners. So there's two components. One is a job training program that the state's going to administer. And then, if you recall, for the ambulance grant that we just wrapped up, there are specific distributions to each county. So this amount of $511 is just for Delaware County, and it's primarily for lead abatement and properties.
Okay, okay,
And we have 2 years to complete the project.
okay. All right, thank you. Vote, please.
Vote on motion 23-782. Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Resolution number 23-783, in the matter of approving supplemental appropriations.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
Thanks, Commissioners. So for this request, it's attributed to the transition of a juvenile victim advocate from the juvenile court to the prosecutor's office, and this is attributed to a change in state statute. So the appropriations are just to account for the wages and benefits for the position.
Okay. Vote, Jennifer.
Vote on motion 23-783. Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Resolution number 23-784, in the matter of approving a transfer of appropriation.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
Thanks, Commissioners. For this last request, a few meetings ago, there was a grant that was approved for Radnor Township for mitigation project. So what we're doing here is we're restoring a line item for the grants and aid budget to help pay for the rest of the trail grants that were approved this morning.
Okay. Vote, please.
Vote on motion 23-784. Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Item number
Thanks.
31,
Thanks,
we
Susan.
are going to address later in the day, maybe this afternoon. So that brings us to administrator reports.
Nothing today.
The only item I have is that I attended the Corsa annual meeting on Friday, and Commissioner Merrill was elected to another 3-year term on that Corsa board. There was stiff competition, but Commissioner Merrill and other 2 commissioners prevailed. This market currently with claims and litigation is an interesting world right now that we're living in, just with the increase in costs for repairs and replacements, building materials, and so forth. But
Corsa does a great job. We are very fortunate to have continued to participate, or continuing to participate with them when it comes to our property and casualty insurance, as well as errors and omissions. We have many people across the county who participate in programs that Corsa provides, and our loss control efforts are very vast and have really helped for us to keep our claims costs down. So our last few years have been pretty static in terms of claims costs, which is really, really good. That helps with our renewals with Corsa, and I can't begin to thank facilities and all of those that work very hard to make sure that our buildings are in good working order, and our policies and best practices are being followed by all of those that are responsible for ensuring that we're doing all we can to keep our claims costs down. So congratulations to Commissioner Merrill.
Well, if I could add, first of all, when I am privileged to serve on the Corsa board, and I was pleased to be reelected. But the comments I hear about Delaware County from the Corsa administrative staff is, Don, you do a fantastic job. I think you stay on top of the issues, and they compare us at the top of the list as far as how we perform. So thank you for that. Part of the insurance situation we find ourselves in is appreciation and the replacement of buildings. It's just it's a tough world we're in right now, and I don't think it's going to get better in the foreseeable future. So to maintain the increases that we had, I think speaks well of Corsa and the job they're doing. And but it's not going to. It's a tough climate right now. So that's all I have.
Okay. Don, anything else?
Nothing else, thank you.
Eric, anything to add? Commissioner Lewis?
Yes. I would like to ask support today for a grant request that Stock Hands for Healing is making to the Country Club at Muirfield Village Foundation. And it is to request funding for mounting lift support for their wheelchair-bound participants. And they have asked our support for it, and they do such a wonderful job that I definitely support that, and I have a feeling my fellow commissioners.
Is that a motion?
That is a motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, and comments, discussion, any further discussion, Commissioner Merrill? No, I think, again, we think the world of Stock Hands, and if they can get a grant to help further their mission,
That's
I
great.
think I'd be glad to support that.
Super, thank you.
Vote please, Jennifer.
Resolution, well, I'll read the resolution and then we can vote. Resolution number 23-785, in the matter of approving the Delaware County Board of Commissioners letter of support for Stock Hands for Healing regarding a request to partner with the Country Club at Muirfield Village Foundation, was motioned by Commissioner Lewis and seconded by Commissioner Merrill. So vote on motion 23-785. Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye. Okay, thank you, Jennifer, for that.
Thank you for
Anything else?
preparing that, Jennifer.
Commissioner Lewis? Any other comments?
Just, looking back,
22 years ago?
22 years ago, September 11th. We can never forget it. It was a heinous terrorist attack on our nation. Over 3,000 Americans died. And not only those who died in the buildings, but then all those, there were those in Pennsylvania that stopped an attack on the Capitol and gave their lives to do that. And then the first responders. And then we have all the families that have suffered as a result. And we just must never forget.
I agree. Commissioner Moore?
I'm not really, I had a couple things I could talk about, but I think they're all secondary to this issue. And I do remember what I was doing and the shock when I saw that first plane hit the building, and the lives that were lost, the people jumping out of windows to what do you do in that situation? the first responders who went into the building and lost their lives, and the first responders who survived but have paid a cost health-wise because of this, inhaling the chemicals they inhaled during that. And the bravery of the passengers on the plane in Pennsylvania. They made a movie about it. It was, I mean, it says a lot about our country. It says a lot about the bravery of our people. But the term earlier was, we'll never forget. I worry about us forgetting. I think we do tend to forget, and we have to be reminded. And once a year, when we can talk about this, we need to remind ourselves that this is a world of a lot of crazy people, for lack of a better word, that would do us harm if given the opportunity. And I don't think we always remember that. And our border, southern border, it's not closed. And we have people, I'm sure, coming into our country that will do harm if given the opportunity. And we've got to be vigilant, and we've got to be aware. We've got to be willing to take action when and where appropriate. So, Commissioner Lewis, thank you, Commissioner Benton, for bringing that up. And I think that's something we should all be thankful for, all those who came and served and made it possible, and those who went overseas to fight.
That's right.
There's so many people we need to remember that it's so easy to forget. So with that, I'm finished.
Okay, just a couple things on the calendar this week. DKMM's having a couple meetings tomorrow. Are we having a TID meeting on Wednesday?
No, not this
It
one.
was canceled, okay, I thought it
Yes.
was. Finance Authority meeting, though, is on Wednesday, and that's still on the calendar.
I'm sorry. I can't-
Finance Authority meeting?
Yes, it is.
Still on the calendar, okay, for Wednesday. One other thing I did want to just mention, Dr. Panchel received a national award. It's the Mark G. Angelos Emergency Medicine Researcher of the Year. And those of us who know Dr. Panchel really appreciate. He's our medical consultant for our EMS division, and he just does an outstanding job. And we knew he was a leader on the national level, and to receive an award like this just confirms it. So very glad that he's our medical director and helping us be one of the best EMS systems in the country. So again, just congratulations, Dr. Panchel. Next,
We
we'll do
have
the
two
PIN and-
presentations today
Okay.
for our Community Enhancement Grant Program.
All right, we're going to do community enhancement grants. We've got two. I saw the representatives from Main Street and Penn here. So do we have an order for this, Jennifer?
I believe PIN is on the agenda first, if they would like to go first.
Kathy?
Thank you.
Okay.
This is where we're gonna miss Sarah. You have to rely on me to find things. There we go.
Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you so much for having us in front of you today to share with you what's been going on at People in Need and the.
If you could introduce yourself,
Oh, I'm
Kathy.
sorry.
We're
I'm
recording
Kathy
this.
Hoff. That's all right. I'm Kathy Hoff from People in Need. I'm the Executive Director. We have been experiencing a lot of growth at People in Need and the service. Am I supposed to move this, or does she move that?
You can move.
Okay, cool. So I included in here the growth in People in Need when I did the grant application, and that was up through June, and I just shared with everyone the information for July and August. And we are experiencing growth that currently the parking lot that we operate on can no longer serve what the need is out in the community. And we respectfully ask for support to enlarge our parking lot area, the traffic flow, as well as the parking spaces for our volunteers and our staff and people who have to stop. So we went during the pandemic to a drive-through approach, and we had hoped after the pandemic to be able to go back to where people could come in and shop. But our numbers have not decreased since the pandemic. They've actually increased since the pandemic. And a variety of situations impact that. Housing costs and food costs are two areas that haven't right-sided from inflation at this point in time. And we encourage people who need our services to utilize our food pantry in order to meet their monthly budgets. Our drive-through approach allows us to see people about 10 minutes per person, where before if they come in and shop, it takes 20 minutes. We've done a number of things to increase the efficiency of people coming through our pantry. This summer, we just incorporated cards to people we serve. They're kind of like a Kroger card. You come in, we scan them, so we can get them in and out of our parking lot even quicker. But we still have the problem of traffic backing up along Johnson Drive. And we've utilized in the past a lot of partnerships. We used to partner with Office City, who was directly across the street from us. We were able to stage people coming into our lot, but we also were able to have our volunteers park there. When Builders Source bought Office City parking lot directly across from people in need, they were willing to partner with us as well for a short period of time. They also are expanding a lot. They were very good to us as far as letting us use their employee parking lot for volunteer and staff, but they were also letting us use the lot directly across from us for staging people coming to our produce markets, or actually now it's even during our daily operations. Because of their expansion and their legal department that's involved in it, they were no longer able to have us staging. This has required us from time to time to have off-duty Delaware City Police Department come assist in the traffic flow. I've done it myself. And actually, I was at the all-horse parade yesterday, and I was leaving with my family, and I had someone stop and said, "Where do I know you from?" And I knew her, and I said, "From Penn." And she started laughing, and she said, "Oh, that's it. You're the one who always directs the traffic." So it is something that it's cumbersome to our staff because it takes us away from what we're supposed to be doing, but it's a safety and security risk for the people who are coming to be served at people in need. It's our volunteers frequently are found walking along Johnson Drive to get to people in need, and that's a heavy truck traffic area anymore. So we have safety concerns, we have concerns on our business partners too. I was able to work with two businesses on Johnson Drive temporarily to have our volunteers park there, but I have no staging area anymore. So the staging area for people to come visit us is off to the side of the road on Johnson Drive. And I do have concern, at least from one business, that they really don't want that in front of their building, and I can appreciate that. We had in our strategic plan that we had wanted to have a parking lot expansion. It just has now come a little bit sooner than what we had anticipated. That was a part of our 5-year plan, and it quickly went to the top once we realized that we have to start using the main road. I attached quotes. They are random quotes because it was the beginning of the project, especially when I had completed this grant application, and they range. Since that time, I have done a little bit more homework on what we need, and my first call was to the City Development Department. I had Anna Kelsey out a couple weeks ago from the development area, and she has now met with the fire and engineering departments who've made me aware that the stormwater area is something that I need to address first, and hiring a civil engineer and trying to get on either their October or November meeting to be able to go over what we need to do to make sure we comply with the city. I've also, one of our volunteers at our last produce market was Rich Ireland from Dublin Building. He is, I understand his father, who owned the company originally, helped develop Johnson Drive. So when I shared with him, you know, what our process was, because he physically saw what was going on, he said, I will help you. I'd like to be involved in helping resolve what this issue is. And then I've reached out to Delaware County Foundation for their support, United Way for their support. So we are doing a lot of sharing of the situation we're in. Most of the people who we're sharing it with have physically and visibly seen it, so they understand that it's an issue that we need to resolve, and resolve quicker than what we originally had wanted to do so. Our numbers have increased at People in Need, and I just shared with you our July and August numbers, which is far surpassing what 2021 and 2022 were. Just so you understand, last year we had 450,000 meals that we distributed in the community. Of those families that we helped in a variety of different services, the average visit to Penn after we're open 50 weeks out of the year is 6.2 times. So the mission of Penn is to help people in their time of need, not to be an ongoing service to a family, but to get them over the hump. And the fact that families who visit us average 6.2 visits over a year demonstrates that people aren't relying on us on a regular basis to meet their needs, but they are coming to us when they are in need. I think I went over the rest. Okay. And then I just attached within my presentation just our community impact. And this was for 2022. It's more calendar year. Questions for me?
Yes, so the amount you are asking us for now?
Is $60,000 towards the project. We anticipate the project's going to be, and after talking with the city, she told me it's going to be in the neighborhood of 300 to 350,000 easily.
So you're working on lining up funding support then? from
Absolutely.
a number of
Absolutely.
organizations.
We've completed 4 grant requests. One request was turned down because they do not do operational expenses. They'll help. So we will reach out to them again for assistance for services and food services. But we are in the current right now reaching out for the support of different businesses. So nationwide, Delaware County Foundation, and here are our 2 largest asks. And then I'm actually going to go to the neighbors on Johnson Drive and Pittsburgh Drive because what we do impacts them. And I know that, and they know that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, other questions? Commissioner Merrill? Barb?
No, I have been there recently, and I've also heard about the problems on Johnson Drive there. It is pretty scary. I mean, I don't like the thought of you out there directing traffic at all. But you have semis going by, and I mean, the road isn't that wide, and the problem is that, I mean, people can't find a place to park. And so, I mean, there is a real safety need, and especially, with the increase in volume and the increase in the number of families that you're helping. So I do support the 60,000.
So you're asking for a staging area and additional parking, is that correct?
Yes.
So help me visually, I know what the facility looks like. Where's this extra parking going to be? Behind
our building. Comes in on the, if you're facing, it comes in on the left, we'll have it go around to the back of our property, up and exit on the other side. And actually, I did find out from the fire department that they want something like that to be able to serve that area. They're not requiring people to do it until they do enhancements of their property, but they want an entrance and an exit way, because right now, it was never built to handle the volume that we have at all. And so the parking would increase on the backside.
And this project will be built next year?
My goal is to have construction begin in the spring, and we are in a situation right now. I had bids, but the bids were generic bids because they haven't actually come out. They didn't know what the city requirements were. So I'll do an RFP after I meet with the city officially, and make sure that, and we're going to meet with them, with the civil engineer as well, to make sure we meet those requirements they need, and we'll include that as a part of our RFP to the vendors that gave us the bids initially.
Okay. Other questions, comments? All right. Kathy, thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, Kathy.
Thanks.
Okay. Next is Main Street. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning.
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 You take it away.
Perfect.
Microphone's yours.
My name's Courtney Hendershaw. I'm the Executive Director for Main Street, Delaware.
And I'm Caroline Pusateri. I am the Program Director.
And we want to thank you, Commissioners, for having us here to speak to you this morning about our grant proposal. As you will see on your handouts and on the screen, we have named our proposal Clear Directions, Connected Communities, Enhancing Wayfinding with Comprehensive Signage. So a little bit about Main Street, Delaware is our mission statement is to create a vibrant downtown experience for all. And we believe that today our grant proposal goes hand in hand with that. We are a 501c3 nonprofit organization and one of the economic development organizations within the downtown that advocates for our downtown. You've met us. And so for our grant proposal, we are requesting funding to get comprehensive wayfinding signage within downtown Delaware. You will see in your packet and then on a following screen, this is what we are proposing that they would look like. With this signage, it is all going to look alike. It'll give clear directions and kind of reduce confusion when we do have visitors and tourists come to downtown Delaware. We believe that this aligns with our organization's strategic plan. With that is we want to make sure that everything within downtown is user-friendly, but also this improves branding and visitor recognition, helping our businesses get more foot traffic into their businesses. Some of the things that we've done with this and why we kind of are here today for that, if we have worked with some of our businesses and went to surrounding cities, and a lot of other cities in Ohio have some wayfinding signage, and we think this would be crucial for our businesses just because we are getting so many new businesses within downtown Delaware, and we do have a pretty big footprint that this would just allow new people and also current residents know which way they need to go. And also, it kind of helps when you are headed in one direction to see what other things are there. So like services, restaurants, retails, and even more. With this signage that you see, we are working with Waterford Signs on this. So you will see that it'll have a bunch of different little slots. They are decals, so it's like a sticker, but easier to take off. So if a business is to leave, we can easily just take it off and put a new one on, so there won't be any having to, any residue or anything left behind. It'll be easy to do. And with this, at the very top, you will see there's a circle with branding. One of the things that we also are doing at the beginning of 2024, we are creating a brand for the downtown district. That is something that we're currently working on. So that will be released at the beginning of this coming year, and we would like to put that branding on the top of this, which will be just for the downtown area. On the wayfinding sign locations, we have 8 signs that we're looking to install throughout Sandusky Street that go from Spring clear up to the corner of Central Avenue. So we would have 1 on East William Street, 3 signs on South Sandusky, 2 on North Sandusky and Winter Street, and then 2 on North Sandusky and Central Avenue. And we have put a red cross on these locations. We felt like these locations were really great locations just because no matter which way you were coming into the city of Delaware, you would be able to see different things. And obviously, each of these locations would have different businesses on them for which the streets they are located. And then I want to go back up to this slide. With this, we've kind of done some different estimates from working with Waterford Signs. So we are requesting a little over $29,000. With this would cover the procurement of the 8 signs as well as the installation of these. But we have also done some estimation work that if we needed to decrease that from 4 to 6 signs, it would range from $15,000 to $22,000. And again, that would cover all of the framework and the installation that would need to be completed.
I'd also like to point out that would cover the cost of the first round of decals, if you will, for all of the businesses. So the ones that are already in downtown now would, not have to pay to get their recognition on the sign. But moving forward for future businesses that would move into town, we've made sure that there would be enough space for those, and it would be a continued fundraising effort for Main Street where there would be a cost structure put in place where it would be only a one-time fee, but they would have the opportunity to pay to have their signage put up there.
We feel that this grant proposal has a huge impact economically on our downtown, just because there are so many new businesses coming in, and we are seeing an influx of visitors. If you guys have been to any of the First Fridays, you can attest to how many new visitors we are getting at events, and we believe that this will just aid our businesses in getting more foot traffic, helping with revenue, and getting the recognition out there that they are in downtown Delaware. We open any questions and would love to discuss this more.
Okay, very good. Mr. Mayor?
I have about 3 questions. Question number 1, has the city approved this design?
So we will have to go in front of HPC to get this approved for the downtown area. But they do have a wayfinding sign plan, and our perimeters it would be an iron base, would align with what the city has, but we would have to go before HPC for this.
I would say we have preliminary support from city staff.
Mm-hmm.
So.
It'd be easier for me to support this if the city was partnering and putting in half. It certainly benefits the city, and I'm not sure the county should pay for the whole thing. And frankly, the businesses should have some input or cost input into it as well, rather than, but the biggest issue is that the city of Delaware should be an equal partner in this, in my opinion. Have you discussed that with them?
Yeah, so like Caroline had mentioned in the past, we have discussed this with them. They see it as a huge benefit for their wayfinding sign plan. We do have their support for it. In terms of funding, we have not discussed funding with them. It is something that we would explore. And I know Caroline had preference that we could work with businesses after the first installation to have them kind of help pay for the decal. That is something we're also open to having. If they would want, for example, Greater Deguda to be on multiple of the signs, we would have them pay. That's something that we're not against her by any means.
So is it reasonable that our support should be contingent upon the city equally supportive financially?
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that is something that we could explore. I think it would be a great partnership between the county and the city and Main Street, because it would benefit, like you said, the city, but also Main Street, and with us being in the county would be a great partnership.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, my question was, have the businesses been asked to contribute anything?
They have not been asked, but we do have quite a few businesses. So we meet monthly with all of our downtown businesses for our merchants and muffins. So this is a great time to kind of learn what's going on. And a lot of our businesses, and Caroline actually went and visited Bell Fountain, where they have some of these signage And it was very well received. A lot of our businesses want more recognition within downtown on where to go. So they are aware that this is something that we are working on.
Boy, I guess I have some of the same concerns that Commissioner Merrill has. And it sounds as though, I mean, it's one thing like to say you're gonna go to someone, but another to get a commitment. So it's kind of like, I guess I'd rather see you reach out to both the businesses in the city first, rather, and then, you know, we really have to approve something, I guess, today, or.
No, we won't
No,
today. I don't think we're planning. There's
I
no
guess
vote.
we could,
We've
yeah,
got some
I
time.
guess we could defer it, yeah. Yeah, I would feel a lot better if you had a concrete, agreement with both the city and the businesses. It does seem that the county, I would not be in favor of voting for the whole thing right now.
And we respect that, and that's something that I will go back today and work with the city to see somehow where they can play into this. Like I said, I know a lot of our businesses are already aware of this, that it's something we're working for, so I don't think that our businesses would be, they would be for putting some money for this to get the
I mean, it's
recognition.
certainly a win-win for both the city
Yes.
and the businesses. I like the idea. I think it's a great idea.
Yeah. No, well,
And
we
I think
appreciate it.
Commissioner Lewis's point, the funding source, as people leave, to use your term, and somebody else moves in, who's going to be responsible for keeping the signage current? Because if it's not current, it really becomes,
Exactly.
doesn't help. So what is that procedure? What is that process? Who is going to be financially responsible for those? Is it going to be that new business coming in? Are they going to be required to purchase a sign to make sure this thing is it's only going to work if everybody uses it?
Exactly. Yeah.
Or is it going to fall on Main Street? Is it going to fall on city? Are you going to be back asking us for money for new labels? So
No, so like Caroline talked about, it is something in the future that after the first installation, and even if we go to the businesses before the first installation to help, the great thing with this being a decal, it's just like if it's on your window, we can go right up and peel it off, so that we will be able to just go through, working with, if there is a new business to come in to see if they would like that placement. We're hoping with having so many businesses that we can always have some sort of turnover, or having someone interested in a spot. But it's something that we can work with them to get their logo, work with Waterford Signs to get that, and Main Street and our volunteers will make sure that these are up to date and relevant for visitors.
I do have, and I'm not an engineer, so what I'm about to say, take it with a grain of salt. The location, this one here, I realize is just a prototype. The location in the corner, as people cross the street, and someone makes a right or left-hand turn, or more probably right, or the pedestrians have to be seen to make sure there's no one gets hurt.
Yeah.
So I guess the question about safety, and I'm not the person to answer that question, but that would be a concern.
Yes.
That we all should be concerned about.
Yes, and that's one of the things, so Caroline when we worked on this, we actually walked the downtown, and I'm sure if any of you drove by, you would have seen us standing on the corners, angling ourselves to see what we thought worked best. With these, they are of a height, and that's something too that will go before HPC. I'm sure they would have the same concern, making sure, because as we all know, even during events and not, our corners can get very crowded. So it is something that is at the top of our mind, and would be in discussion with HPC as well.
Yeah, this particular sign you show here, I can see somebody standing behind it, crossing the street, and not be seen by the person making the turn.
Yeah,
So just an observation.
no, we appreciate that.
I had a couple questions. Is the primary purpose to guide people in cars or people walking?
Foot traffic.
Foot traffic, okay. Yeah, and the other question, Commissioner Merrill touched on it, and that is the signs in other communities. I know we funded, partially funded anyway, a sign in Shawnee Hills, similar to this. And so I'm curious, just a little more detail about your experience, or what you've learned about other communities using these types of signs.
Do you want to touch on that?
Sure. So I visited Bell Fountain, which is actually the picture of the prototype that you see here, and their focus was mainly on highlighting businesses, but I think it would be actually really cool to highlight some other either landmarks or like maybe parking options throughout downtown as well, just to include some more ease of access to these places. And I think that's something that we can talk about more in the future too, if the project moves forward. But yeah, I think it's eye-catching, and the fact that, you know, it's a little bit colorful but not too distracting, I think is a big, like, being there in person, like, even driving through, you almost don't notice them as much, but when you're walking, you really notice them. It's pretty interesting, but Small Nation, which is economic development kind of firm and real estate firm in Bellefontaine, they kind of are the ones that put these into place there, and they had some pretty good feedback on the use of them, so,
Okay.
yeah.
Good.
I'm excited about it.
Just a small thing, you say there are 3 signs on South Sandusky, but I only saw 2 in the picture.
So, let me, we have the one down on Spring and then in front of the City Hall, and I think in with that, we had kind of lumped in the one on East William Street in front of the Welcome Center. We'd put that down there with that as well, I believe.
But then you separately list the East William Street one. So I guess the reason I'm focusing on it is the cost would be, for 8 signs is $29,000. If it's really only 7 signs, it may be, you know,
Yes.
$3,000 or $4,000 less.
Oh, did we miss one on this corner? Oh.
You see what I'm saying?
Yes,
Yeah, I
we do. I think you are right, that is our mistake. There is one in front of Amato's on that corner.
Oh, okay, so you
Yes,
just
we didn't include
didn't
that
show all
one,
of them.
because I
Okay.
remember the photo we have taken from that one.
Okay.
And you had asked if this was for foot traffic or driving. One of the things is we really want people to know that downtown Delaware is a walkable community. I think right now there is some parking perceptions, and we want people to know that you can walk our downtown and find things to do along your walk, and that you don't need to be in a car, and that if you need to park a little bit away, there will be many destinations along your walk in downtown.
I thought your point about parking was really good too. I mean, boy, people come, and they, not only do they not necessarily know where certain stores are, but then where do I park? And of course, all spots are always taken.
Right, of course.
Yeah, on Sandusky, so.
Okay.
But thank you.
Other questions?
I assume the business community has been approached and they're supportive?
It's been discussed, like I said, in Merchants and Muffins, and yes, we've had no negative feedback about it or anything. Obviously, this is very early on in the stages, so as discussions with the city take part 2 for this, it's something more we'll talk about our businesses with after our discussion with you today, is to kind of get this on their books more. We actually have a night Merchants and Muffins next Monday, a week from today. So this is something that we'll bring up there to just start to gain more traction about this and further conversations for our downtown.
Yeah. I think the message we're giving you is we need to get more support from the businesses and the city.
Yep, and we will work on that right after
Okay.
today and be in touch about it.
Great. Okay, well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming in.
Yeah,
Good
thank you for all you do. I mean, the
Yeah.
first Fridays are phenomenal, and
Thank you.
traffic downtown.
I don't think I missed one all summer. They're always crowded.
Yeah.
And we have our final concert on Wednesday at 7
Yeah,
p.m., so
yeah.
hope to see you all there.
Yeah,
Perfect, thank you all.
thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I think that's it for the regular session. We need to do
We do have
executive.
need for executive session. Resolution number 23-786, in the matter of adjourning into executive session for consideration of compensation of a public employee or a public official for pending or imminent litigation for collective bargaining and to consider confidential information related to economic development.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion, vote?
Vote on motion 23-786. Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
All right, we're now in executive session.